What's up, guys? Bonafide Hustler here.
Young here.
Eric Hustler here.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Green Room Hangout number 27. Today we're going to talk about bigger, badder electronics. I am the Bonafide Hustler. I reside in Austin, Texas, and I flip stuff I find from garage sales, estate sales, yard sales, flea markets, swap meets, pawn shops, and I put it on places like eBay, Amazon, my antique booth, Craigslist, and consignment stores in town. That's what I do. I'm one of the admins of the Green Room. I'll toss it over to Yong.
Hey guys, my name is Young, also known as Retro Aficionado. I live in San Jose, California, and just like Chris, I do eBay, Amazon, Craigslist, antique booth, you name it, I do it. Eric, who are you?
My name's Eric. Some people know me as the college picker. I flip stuff out of my Toyota Prius outside of Starbucks's. No, I'm actually in New Mexico right now, and I run Amazon, not really much eBay, a little bit of eBay, Etsy, and I'm dabbling in this Mercari thing, getting into OfferUp, been doing Craigslist for a long time. Got close to 10 years under my belt with this flipping stuff, and I'm a full-time administrator of the greenest room in the world.
Cool. So that's what we're here for today. Today we're going to talk about bigger, badder electronics that are basically bigger than a tiny little Discman, Walkman, or a small tape recorder. So those are the kind of electronics that we're going to be messing with today. Before we go further into the show, I would like to go into the comment feed, shout out a couple people. Let's do a sound check real quick back and forth. So tell us if we sound okay, or if we need to pull the mic away from our faces, whatever. We have all kinds of people in here. Comfort Zone Studio, Henry S., Cosmic Thrifter, Brandon Penrod, Les Ehart, Malu Jimmy, Thrifty Treasures, T.Y. Hipstar, Gerson Estrada, more people. Okay, so Tyler Davenport, Cherie Harrison, what is up, everybody? And Una Luna Vintage. Wow, it's like a Una Luna Vintage. It's like a
One moon.
Very weird. Okay. So it's good to see everybody. What's up, Gerson? What's up, Extreme Access? Kenneth Nunez. Thanks for helping us out with the sound check. We really appreciate it. Let's think about let's do the housekeeping at the very end. I wanted to, because I saw some people here from Houston, and I got a Houston announcement I want to make pretty soon here. But okay, so bigger, badder electronics. It looks like we sound good. Everyone's saying we sound good. Modern Hustler, what's up? Okay.
There's no way that I sound good. The acoustics in a Prius are awful.
Fine. You sound fine, man.
And I probably sound echoey.
What's up, Darren Eckelman? What's up, Swamp Picker? Before we go into get into the show, I want to let everyone know out there that I did wash my Prius yesterday. So there we go. In case you were wondering if I washed my Prius, I washed my Prius. CP, when's the last time you washed your Prius, by the way?
Dude, it snows here, so I washed it, and then I got the 72-hour guarantee, and I got in an argument with the guy who washed my car because of their guarantee is such a scam.
Wait, did it get dirty within 72 hours?
If it snows within 72 hours, you can rewash it, except for snow never lasts shorter than 72 hours, and they're closed on the days, so it's like it's a total scam, and they got a 1-star from me on Google.
Oh, wow. Wait, Google?
It made me that mad. I've never been in somebody's face yelling at them before until this guy started messing with my car wash.
You don't strike me as the kind of guy who would write bad reviews anywhere, but this one really got to you?
Oh, it got to me so bad. You'd think somebody wants to take care of their customer base, but it's just such a scam.
Okay.
They wouldn't give me the wax on the second wash.
Oh, man, I hate it when they don't give you the wax. Anyway, what's going on with you, Retro, over in Santa Clara? Where are you now?
Santa Clara. Yeah, I keep saying San Jose, but I mean, technically I'm in Santa Clara now. So.
Okay.
Santa Clara.
6 miles away from where we had the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, wow.
Could you hear the cheering?
No, I heard the fireworks and all that, though.
Well, that's cool.
Oh, cool.
I was trying to avoid that mess.
Hector Alpewing says CP went postal on that car wash thing. And Comfort Zone Studio is saying, is that a robot besides CP? Interesting. I don't know.
This thing right here.
Oh,
my headrest. It's my headrest robot.
Okay. Darren Eckelman calling me out. I've been slacking on YouTube videos. I've been going through an injury lately, and it's not fun. It's been requiring me to do like all kinds of therapy stuff at home.
What'd you get hurt on?
See, I don't brag. I mean, I don't let people know about what's going on. If you were on Periscope, you knew what was going on. But I injured my lower lumbar spine really, really heavily, like 2 weeks ago, and like the hardest part of the therapy has occurred in this middle, around day 2 all the way to like day 7. So it's really tough. But I'm about 90% there. I have 2 videos that I need to edit. And then tomorrow in the green room, there should be a special video that I'm going to be putting live, and then you can watch it later. So that should be a really cool video that I'm going to be doing. It's going to be called the Bonafide Time Machine. So if that gives you kind of like an idea of what's going on, you'll see. It's going to be a really, really cool video. So that's coming soon to Green Room tomorrow. All right, so let's talk about the bigger, badder electronics. We now know that these things, what we're talking about today, are going to be larger than a Walkman, larger than a Discman. So, what can that be? Let's talk about the first item. And if you have anything you want to say in the feed, and if you're, thinking about a larger, bigger, better electronic that you hustled recently, then you can put it in the feed. Hopefully this feed doesn't go super fast to where we can't see it. But let's talk about item number 1, which are receivers. Now, Young, what is a receiver for anyone out there that doesn't know what an audio receiver is?
It's basically, you hook it up to your stereo, and you get better quality audio.
Okay.
Correct?
Somewhat correct. CP, CP's kind of smiling, so he wants to add on to some stuff. Go ahead, man.
I actually am not an audiophile at all, so I'm not up to date on receivers. But it's like a tuner where you receive the signal from like the radio or from some other source, like maybe a TV. You receive it from a tape deck or maybe a record player, and it just amplifies it and puts it out to the speakers.
Yes. So that's just about correct. It receives the audio input from any other device, and then it puts it out to a set of speakers or two series of speakers or a 5.1, a 7.1 setup. But either way, it processes sound. Sometimes receivers can have zero power to them, right? They're just kind of like preamp receivers, or you can have actual receivers, which like current day, a lot of receivers come with about, I don't know, like internal amps of like 40 per channel, 50 watts per channel times 5 times 7. You have sometimes internal amplifiers, not wide range amplifier technology, but either way, it's a thing that processes audio and typically slightly amplifies it to where a small to a medium room could really enjoy the sound. So that's basically what a receiver is. They are about the size of, I would say, 2 shoeboxes. Is that about right? I mean, maybe 3 shoeboxes, right?
3 shoeboxes wide?
Yeah, if you put a shoebox next to another shoebox next to another
like
shoebox.
The narrow side of the shoebox
is
the width of the receiver.
Right. So I'd
say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, 3 shoeboxes. You'll see them typically next to the TVs in a Goodwill or Salvation Army. They'll be next to stereos, right? But a receiver is a very daunting kind of thing if you don't know anything about audio. Today, hopefully, you can get a little bit of a hint of what you're going to need to test it out and how to spot a decent receiver. So let's talk about now what is current receivers versus retro receivers. CP, have you ever hustled a retro receiver before? And the people in the Hangout right here, do you know what a retro receiver even is?
Do I know what a retro receiver is? A retro would be a remake, so I would maybe think that you're using the term wrong.
Okay, let me just rephrase that. A vintage receiver, I call them retro, but vintage receivers.
Vintage receiver, one that uses tubes and different audio components to create the sound versus whatever digital stuff they use today. It's
Pretty much.
Maybe analog versus digital. I don't know, but I flipped a Marantz like when I was on my road trip a couple of years ago.
Okay, it's a great brand actually. You found one of the best ones out there.
Yeah.
So a vintage receiver is typically the way you'll spot them is they have a gray front or silver front face. The LED, the background of them is usually not LEDs or any of that kind of stuff. It's usually a light that's powering the back of the lamps of everything. They usually have gauges that look like this. I guess that's analog, right? They're very, very. They usually have a knob, right? They usually have a really big silver knob that scrolls the tuning from back to forth across a very long, like a spectrum of AM/FM channels. So They're
No
very easy to,
HDMI ports.
yeah, no HDMI. Typically, you're going to find a right and a left only. Sometimes you'll find like, some other things, but you'll find a right and a left audio input
No
in the back.
optical audio ports.
No, you're going to find FM, AM, sometimes even TV for some reason. But yeah, you're not going to find very many things. They're very heavy. Okay. The brands you're going to want to be messing with is yeah, there's definitely Sansui, Fisher, Marantz, Technics, a couple others that slip my mind right now. But yeah, you're going to be wanting to look. Someone said Bose and Sony. So I haven't really seen any Sony silver front faced ones back like from the vintage days, but I want to say Macintosh as well is a really good one. There you go. Blackhawk Surplus. Macintosh is a premium brand with tubes in it and everything. So the other ones that you want to look for are more current day. Young, the more current day receivers aren't. Don't you see these things in every thrift store you go to? You see receivers everywhere, right?
Yeah, I see them at thrift stores. I see them at garage sales. I actually have one in the garage right now that I need to process.
Yeah, my garage is powered by all Marantz right now. Marantz amplifier, Marantz
Mm.
THX subwoofer, Marantz receiver as well. But I don't have the remote control. So it was a find of a lifetime, but I don't have a remote control for it. So it's like I have to go up to it and push it and everything. But Marantz is very good. Marantz is good even to current day, right? A current day receiver typically will have a black front face, and they can look really sleek these days. The brands that you're going to want to stay away from on current receivers, okay? Current black-fronted receivers. I'm going to say right now, COS. You're not going to want to mess with any COS ones. CP, you don't have any brands that you're like, no way, don't touch that brand?
Receivers though, like, because it's a pretty expensive piece of equipment. Like Ozark Trail doesn't make receivers.
Yeah. So okay. Now here's another one for everyone. Sherwood. You're not
Like
going to.
Durabrand.
No, you're not going to mess with Sherwood. Okay, their cost is really bad. A lot of lower end Yamahas. I would say 50% of Yamahas are just garbage. But GMX, someone said. Or maybe GPX is what he meant to say. Realistic.
Realistic, yeah. If they had that, if they had that in a receiver, I would definitely.
Radio Shack.
Coleman.
Yeah. RCA, yes. RCA is one of the ones that you want to stay away from. Kenwood, love it. Yeah, that one's not a good one either. So these people are dead on right here. Henry S. Iowa, Easy Money. So Easy Money's in the house. That's E Money right there. Iowa, that's a good one too. Yeah, E Money. Iowa, you don't want to mess around with Iowa. So. Anyway, let's talk about what you're going to need to test out a receiver. In fact, I have this drawer here. It's like my receiver drawer. Well, let me see. It's one of these drawers. All right, so you're going to need, here we go. I have a drawer for just testing out receivers, and I'll show you what's in this drawer real quick here. Here we go. All right, so you're going to need about 3 things. First of all, the receiver should have its own power cord. Most receivers have the power cord already into them, built into them. If you're dealing with a Sony, sometimes you have to get this special kind of cord that has a 2-prong input thing. Anyway, so the first thing you're going to need 3 things, okay? Red and white cables. Usually you're going to need red and white cables because if you happen to have a CD player laying around or any of that kind of stuff, red and white is good if you have a tape deck laying around, and it also has red and white, so you can throw the tape deck's output into the receiver's input, okay? You can use this. Now, if you just have an iPhone or a phone, then you're going to want to get this instead, okay? This is basically a red and white, which is the right and left channel, to a headphone jack, which goes directly into a phone, okay? So just like that. Plug this into there. Plug these 2 things into the right and left, usually A or B speaker of the receiver. Okay, it's in the very back. You'll see it. It's pretty easy. It's called the input. Okay, and then from there you're going to want to, depending if it's an A or B speaker, you find the A or B speaker terminals and you wire a speaker to it using speaker wire, which is this, and the other end of it goes to your speaker, and it should look like that. Corresponding, colors and all that kind of stuff. It's very easy to do. It's very easy to do. I actually have 2 speakers just sitting under my desk over there, and that's what I'd use to test out my receivers with. But I would say, yeah, you only need really 3 things. Speakers, okay, because just because it turns on doesn't mean it works. You're going to have to test out the potentiometer, which is basically, how the volume goes up and down, all that kind of stuff. You're going to want to test out also with your phone using this thing. So hopefully this is not, it's hard to explain it to people that don't know anything about anything that's going on right now, right? But put that into your phone, into your headphone jack, like you'd be listening to music. Put this into the receiver, into its input. Okay, you can put this into DVD, CD, anything. It really doesn't matter, right? It's just going to take the sound from your phone and bring it into the receiver with these two wires. The receiver will process it and then amplify it to the two speakers that you put. Okay, so let's hopefully there's no questions on that. Yang, did you follow what I was saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. What about College Picker? Did you kind of follow that, or you know about that, right?
Did we
CP?
lose him?
Oh,
Everything.
oh, he's starting to fade
Uh-oh.
in and out. Okay, so it's all confusing. Blown fuses, I mean. Okay. Okay, so that's basically that. When you do the receivers, and I'm reading some comments, sorry. So I'm definitely looking at the comment feed right now. If you got a remark, you can put it right there, or I guess it's here on your screen. When you're dealing with receivers, you're going to want to put all the pictures, top picture, right, bird's eye view, front view, does it come with a remote control, does it not, and then take a picture of the back. Now, a very important thing to do is take a picture of the serial number as well, and that way you put the serial number in your ad if you're listing it on eBay, for example. If you happen to find an amazing receiver that's still in box, it's at a garage sale, maybe you come to a garage sale and someone's got an Onkyo or a Denon still in the box, they just upgraded their stereo system, their whole house, whatever, right? So they put the thing back in its box with its remote control, and it tests out just fine. If you have the box with the styrofoam and everything, with the barcode on the side, that probably is destined for FBA, but I would still take all the pictures necessary that you need for your side in case there's some sort of a fraudulent claim, and make sure you put the serial number into your FBA listing as well. It'll help you out. Okay, CP. Let's talk about brands of current day black fronted receivers. Dude, I even have a receiver right here on the floor. I just realized this. Oh my God, this is crazy. I have a Marantz sitting on the floor that I haven't tested yet.
Well, show us.
Yeah, I'll show it to you.
Marantz on the floor. We got a Marantz.
Now my
on the
my
floor.
back isn't in the best. I got this for free, by the way. All right, here we go.
$3.99. Marantz on the floor.
Crazy, right? It's free. No, not $3.99. Free.
Yeah,
Look at this
$3.99. $3.99. Marantz on the floor.
All right, let me put my leg up on here. Ah, this thing is so heavy. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Okay, so there's the
It
tuning
looks
wheel right there. As you can see, this little thing right here is tuning through everything. We got your main controls, balance, fade, volume, all that kind of stuff, treble, bass, and then the back of it is going to be very simple. This is a vintage receiver, as you can see. You got some speaker terminals right here, and then your AM/FM antenna goes up here, and then your ins and outs of the red and whites go over here.
Now, is that one that you're going to keep or you're going to sell?
No, I have to test it out. The guy said, what did the guy say? He said that I forgot what it was. That the FM works, or maybe everything else works but the FM part, the tuner. So, you know, that receiver right there, if nothing was wrong with it, it'd be worth about $235 on eBay. So, it's a free one, okay? Pretty cool. I got it from a garage sale like 3 weeks ago. Maybe 4 weeks ago. I just haven't got around to it, but Marantz is good stuff. Okay. Chris, don't hurt your back. I did not hurt my back. Thanks, Darren Eckelman. That's a fine machine. Okay. So let's talk about some brands of the black front-faced receivers that you should be looking for. Okay, absolute brands that should get your attention. CP, give me a brand of the current day.
I know Harman Kardon makes good sound systems, so I'm gonna go with Harman Kardon.
Harman Kardon is good. They have some entry, and then they have some really like amazing stuff. So all in all, if you find it in good condition, there should be some resale on Harman Kardon. Young.
Pioneer.
Right. Pioneer, certain Pioneer, especially the Elite Series, yes. I'll give you guys another one. Middle to upper Sonys, not the lower grade. You don't want to mess with lower grade Sonys, but Sony's typically okay.
What's the giveaway for a low grade Sony? See, I know, honestly, dude, you're coming off to me like a receiver connoisseur right now. It's,
all right, so like the Sonys that I
pride myself in my electronics knowledge, but I seriously am like a 1 and you're like a 7.
So one of the things that I think really makes receivers, there are two things that makes, in my opinion, that makes receivers just that much better than other ones, okay? So one of them is the technology that the receiver is using to amplify the signal out, okay? So if if a receiver has one central amplifier, like a gigantic amplifier in the middle of the receiver, and it powers all 5 speakers, right? Let's talk. When I say 5 speakers or I say 7 speakers, just know that when I say when you hear Dolby Digital 5.1 or 7.1, first of all, the 0.1 is always the subwoofer, okay? And then the 5 or the 7 is going to be 5 channels, 5 different speakers that you can run. Most DVDs these days are encoded in 5.1. So you can buy 7.1 receivers, but it's just going to mimic like a sound for an extra 2 channels. So to keep it simple, usually what most people have in their home theater setups, okay, like when you buy them somewhere and it's a home theater setup, 5.1 digital, you're getting a center channel, so that's one speaker right there. You're going to get the right and the left, so here's another one, there's 3, so center channel, right and left, and then behind you, right and left, so that's 5 speakers right there, okay? 0.1, which is the subwoofer. So going back to what I said, the receivers have, there's 2 typically different types of receivers out there. The upper class receivers are going to have separate little amplifiers inside that drive the power into the speakers themselves. Okay, several little amplifiers. Sometimes they call it wide range amplified technology, and some people call it other things. But realistically, you're looking for receivers that have dedicated amplifiers inside versus one central amplifier. One central amplifier, a lot of times if all the speakers need a draw out of it, then the amplifier can get really hot and then it'll just shut off, right? The receiver will shut off in the middle of your movie, and you will basically just have to let it chill out and cool down. Probably takes 5 or 10 minutes, and then you can rewatch the rest of your movie. It's a total pain in the butt. The early grade Sonys, a lot of the lower grade Sonys are like that, okay? They have this central amplifier, and you can't turn them up very much. Like halfway you turn them up, and then you watch freaking Matrix, and this thing just shuts down like multiple times in the middle of the movie. So it's not good. Now, if you get an Onkyo, right, you can get an Onkyo, which is what I run an Onkyo upstairs my house that I got from like '96, and it has a wide range amplifier technology system on it, so it's got 5 little amplifiers built into it. Each amplifier is up to about 55 watts, I want to say, maybe 40, something like that. So each channel, when it wants to pull a whole lot of amps, it's pulling off its own amplifier, right? But it's not going to kill the entire unit because it's drawing power, right? So that's kind of how it works. Each channel gets its own amplifier. So there you go.
Is there a way to know by looking from the outside that this is a garbage Sony? Like anything gives it away, or do you have to hook it up and turn it on and see if it just like shuts down?
Majority of the Sonys that you find out there will kind of be the garbage Sonys. That's the thing. A majority of them will be. So you're going to want to look for certain signs like, I think when it starts to get into like a 7.1 category, that people start getting a lot more excited. When you start seeing HDMI in the back, multiple HDMI inputs in the back, that should get you pretty excited. When you see, what's the other one? There's another thing I wanted to say. Either way, that's what you're kind of looking for. The more HDMIs that you see in the back, that should start piquing your knowledge, right? A real serious receiver these days will have like 5, 6, sometimes 7 different HDMI ports in the back. The lower grade ones will have like one or 2, right? Nothing crazy. And then the other ones you want to look for are when you see something that stands with THX, for example. That's something that should pique your interest a little bit, right? Because only certain receivers can get certified to run THX sound, which is basically a Lucasfilm certified receiver. It can run certain sounds, or it can do a certain processing of the noise. How should I say it? So that's pretty much the big things you should be looking for, right? Wide range amplifier technology. You can look that up on like, Amazon stats or whatever. It'll tell you how the amplifier technology is. If you see that they all have dedicated amplifiers, then that should pique your interest a little bit more. Okay, so Crown Power Amps. There's so many people that know a lot of stuff here. Bob A. I love Onkyo. That is what I run. So I actually have 2 Onkyos upstairs. The other one's a 7.1 that has got 3 HDMI input. I haven't even freaking built out my entire home theater upstairs. But CP's been up there, and there's a very workhorse of an Onkyo up there. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about how to ship a receiver. CP, when you sold that Marantz back in the day, did you sell it locally or did you sell it to eBay?
It was on Craigslist.
Ooh, okay. Okay. A lot of my heavier receivers that I've flipped, a lot of them have been through Craigslist, right? Especially the retro ones, or the vintage ones. I try Craigslist first only because Those things weigh a lot more than current day receivers. They do. Was your Marantz pretty heavy?
Oh, it was, yeah, it was a pain. I was like dropping 1 or 2 miles per gallon just by taking that thing in the car.
Yeah, it's definitely they're definitely a lot, at least 2 times as heavy as some of the current day stuff. But also, if you pick up a receiver and it happens to be insanely heavy in its current day, that should give you enough like confidence to start researching that receiver, right? Especially if it's one of the brands that we talked about.
If it takes 2 hands.
Oh yeah, I mean that's one of the ways to look at it. If the receiver is even fatter than what a normal receiver should be, that should be another sign to you right there. Like it looks like a receiver and a half. Like Onkyo is notorious for this, so is Denon, giving these receivers that are even bigger than what they should be, and they just have so much going on inside, right? That and typically that you can put so many different apparatuses like hooked up to them. That's why they have to be that big. Like there's a processing unit in there, plus there's damn near a computer in there, right? That can be upgraded to other like how should I say, other like not models, but it can run more current. How do you say it? Like a Valentine 1 radar detector, for example, right? It has a certain technology built into it where you can download the latest version. That's what I meant to say, right?
A firmware upgrade?
Yeah, it's like a firmware upgrade. Some of these like really serious big fat ones, like they even take like firmware upgrades, so it's pretty nuts. Okay, so hopefully I'm not nerding and geeking out too much because I think I've lost like half the crowd here. We got 96 viewers. I really appreciate you guys stopping by. Let's talk to Yang real quick. What's the last receiver that you flipped, Yang?
Oh man, it was like 2 years ago. I can't even remember what brand it was. It was on Amazon though.
Oh really? Okay.
It was on that.
Oh wow, that's cool. So you must have found in the. Did you find in the box? I guess.
Yeah, box. It was complete. You know me, man. Everything's got to be complete with me. So
Yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember what brand it was.
Yeah, if you find, a lot of times when I find the really nice receivers in boxes, they happen to be in garage sales in nicer neighborhoods where people just seem to have like all the money in the world to do upgrades to their house and like build new theater systems and like all this stuff. So I'm like, all right, that's where you can kind of see it. It's a little bit daunting though when you get into these scenarios because you see a box there, you see the brand Denon, Onkyo, whatever you see, Nakamichi, and there could be a price tag of like $100 on it, sometimes $200, but you shouldn't. You should start looking up those numbers you see on the side of the box. You should, because I'm telling you right now, a good receiver, a really good receiver, minimum should these days run about $600. Like a good one that's in essence a little bit timeless, right? It'll be good for about 5 years, maybe 10 with firmware upgrades, but that's running you 600, like lowest category 600. Like the good ones are in the $1,000 ranges, and those are.
Dude, I'm gonna stop by Best Buy on the way home and just look at these like 600.
Now I think about it, I sold one about 6 months ago now. Now I think about it, and I posted it in the green room. Again, but I can't remember it. I mean, it was one of those things that it was so big, like I had to ship it alone in its own box. But I can't remember. I remember Kevin Nielsen was with me from the green room when I sourced it. I can't remember, man.
I think I don't know what it was. There's a couple people in the green room that flipped like a Yamaha or something like that. I think.
No, it wasn't a Yamaha.
No, Nielsen flipped something else that was like really crazy. He flipped a Marantz, like last month for like $2,500, something weird like that. It was something big. I remember that. It was a Marantz. He sold for $1,300.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Okay.
There's just so many of those out there. I forget.
They're an Echo. I heard that receivers sell more on eBay. Yes and no. If it's more of the collector style, then I would say yeah. I wouldn't want to put a vintage Marantz or a vintage anything really on FBA. FBA is for the black-fronted, like, current day receivers. If you can have the box, the actual styrofoam it comes in, and all the cables, the remote, and it looks like it's just been re-put in the box, or you find it as a closeout deal at Best Buy, or maybe it's a return. Best Buy has these when someone returns it, they call it some open box, right?
Open box. Yeah.
So if you find an open box, for example, and it's sitting there for like 120 days, I mean, Best Buy will go crazy on the price on that thing, then you can usually hustle it out of there too. The good thing about Best Buy is most people think that Best Buy doesn't have good stuff, but they actually have some good stuff. But you have to go into, there's a certain name to the stores that have like this one section with amazing speakers and amazing amplifiers. It's called something though. The room is called something. Anyway. I think if you want to learn about receivers and see really good stuff, I would say go to Fry's Electronics if you have one around you. That's a really good place to go. If you have specialty TV stores and you're not bothered by someone coming up to you and going, hey, can I help you find something? Hey, what kind of theater are you building? just go into the specialty stores and you can start seeing Crown and Adcom and all these amazing brands, Carver, and those are the highest class of receivers that they ever get are those. So you're likely never to find those in the wild. But anyway, okay. I gave you enough names, so now you should at least be like, all right, well, if I see one, I know the name at least. Okay, let's talk about number 2 because CP needs to be talking a little bit more here. Number 2, CP. No, you're talking a lot. I feel like I'm talking a lot, so that's why I want to.
No, dude, I know nothing about receivers. I knew the Marantz was a gold because I looked it up on eBay when I was at the store, and it was only $80. But I don't have a house. I'm never going to get into receivers until I get a house so I can mess around with this stuff.
Okay. No, that's right, because if you have a house, then you have, like, I have 2 Bose speakers sitting down here. I have all my wires right here, so if I have a receiver that needs anything, I can get it tested within 5 minutes.
I'm not going to hook up a 5.1 surround system for my mom to watch, like, whatever Dr. Phil, you know?
You see, the thing about 5.1 is you can move the speakers around. You can take the cables and be like, all right, I heard that channel, and then you put it to another, then you put it to another, then you put it to another. You can hear the channels working. If you can do it, it's a ghetto way of doing it, but you can do it that way. Easy Money said Magnolia. So that's what the Best Buy room is called. If you have a Best Buy in your hometown and it's like not a junky Best Buy, if it's a pretty decent one, you should have a Magnolia room in there. And a Magnolia room's got all the cool stuff in there. They have like freaking awesome stuff. So check it out if you want to learn more about receivers. I really think people out there, young, and I know you're with me on this, like when you get bored, isn't it like really smart? Like if you're just bored and you don't want to list and you have nothing to source and you're tired of going to big box stores, isn't it kind of smart to go to like a Dick's Sporting Goods or a Fry's Electronics or a Best Buy or, well, it was a Circuit City. They might be coming back, but probably not.
Back, yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, do you ever like find yourself just going and nerding out? I know CP does it, but you ever find yourself, if you're bored, just going somewhere and learning more about something just by going to someone's showroom?
I do it all the time. I do it at the Apple Store. I do it at Fry's.
At the Apple Store? So if I see an Apple Watch at a pawn shop for $50, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I go into all kinds of random stores just so I can learn about products, man. Seriously.
Yeah, that's how you can get a crazy amount of education.
Well, this Best Buy doesn't have a Magnolia room, so I guess I'm not going to stop there because it's junky.
It might have some mid-grade like receivers, but I mean the Magnolia room is going to have like the really cool stuff in the Pioneer Elites and all that. Okay, so let's talk about the next one, which is printers, which I know Yang and CP will both be able to echo on pretty strongly. All right, so CP, like you know a lot about printers because you've been hustling them well before even we thought that FBA was cool. Like you were just hustling printers on FBA. When I was hustling with you, garage selling 2 years ago, you'd be picking them up left and right. In fact, no, the very first time you came into town, before the Green Room meetup that we went to Topgolf, we went to a place and you popped on a laser printer because you were here with Ethan. The very first garage sale of the morning, you popped on this.
Oh, yeah. That was a Dell.
Yeah, you popped on it. It was like the first thing you found. It was like $5, and you're like, boom. And I was like, what the hell is he? Why is he buying that office junk? You know, but in the past 2 years, my printer game got a little bit better. It's not like phenomenal, right? But yours is pretty good. So let's talk about the kind of printers to hustle. And first of all, is there money in printers now, CP? Not 2 years ago, but now.
Yeah. Of course.
Yang, you're nodding your head. What do you think about printers?
I sold plenty. Yeah, no, there's I mean, even photo printers. There's good money in photo printers.
Okay, so those are the kind of printers that you just put in some sort of a stick thing, right? And then, or is it directly?
What, are you talking about the portable photo printers, or are you talking about the office photo printers?
Both.
So the portable.
Because there's money in all of it. There's money everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's money in all of it. Let's talk about now, because all of it could be kind of. People might be like, well, what are they talking about? What does this all of it mean? So let's talk about the kinds of printers to hustle, okay? There's so many different kinds. Laser, dot matrix, inkjet, all-in-ones, large format, medium format, large format. I mean, okay, let's talk about, let's break it down.
And telefaxes.
Yeah, there's so many.
Scanners.
Let's talk about the different ones. Let's talk about...
Let's start with laser printers, because that's something that somebody can get into that could use it for their own business, learn how to test it, use it for themselves, and then possibly find another one, sell their previous one, and keep one for their business. Something like that.
So we'll talk about laser printers, which would only be in like only black and whites, right? Is that the kind you're talking about?
Usually monochrome laser printers, you're going to be able to test them a lot easier. They're going to have less problems than one that's colored. A colored laser printer just normally screams a lot more problems if it's used.
Okay, let's talk now. What do you need? Okay, let's say you see. How do you spot, first of all, this laser printer that you're talking about? What should it kind of look like? Give me like let's do the shoebox example now. How big? I mean, a laser printer, the one that
they're usually square. They're usually square, very square compared to an inkjet printer, and it can fit usually an entire stack of paper inside a tray. Like they have trays rather than just these little docks where you set 20 sheets of paper on like an inkjet.
Okay.
Usually there are smaller, more compact laser printers that they make that are a little bit more rectangular, but those are easy to spot as well. And they'll say laser jet on them or laser something like that.
So if we hear you correct, because Brand Kennett's saying color and black ones, but the safe money's in the B&W, the black and whites, right?
Though, if you don't want a headache buying a used colored printer to test and to possibly get a return on, the monochrome is a lot easier to mess with. But if it's new in box colored printer, that'd be fine.
Okay, so Yang, let's talk about the size of a printer. Like you were hearing what Eric was talking about. How would you say it in your eyes? Like what is the size of a laser printer these days? Like what do you think?
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, usually, from my experience, the monochromes are much smaller. Like, I have a monochrome black and white printer that you saw when I first met you. I mean, I take that thing across the country.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just, you know, they're portable. But the ones that the ones that are colored, they just happen to be just bigger and heavier because they require obviously more toners. And it's like CP said. I mean, you know, they have a big tray where you can, you know, fit your paper in. They're extremely heavy.
Okay, cool. So, you know, if I'm looking at your background, Young, I would say that a typical laser monochrome printer would be about the size of your microwave door.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, and
Well,
typically,
it's smaller. Mine's actually smaller.
Okay, it could be smaller, but a lot of times
if you get into the portable ones, they're a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
Right, and I like to think that the laser ones are a little bit more upright. They're a little bit more bulky upright, whereas the all-in-ones.
Don't you have one like right next to you?
Yeah, it's over here. It's like, okay, look. I mean, it's sitting by my video games and all that stuff. It's sitting right there. All right.
That one looks familiar.
I know you gave it to me, man.
And it's still
so
trucking.
That's where that is. Yeah, so that's just a pretty basic one. That's a Twin 20 or something like that. Or CP gave it to me, and quite honestly, I've put toner in it one time. I've got a toner a different color. I've replaced the toner cartridge once in it in the past 2.5 years. These things go forever. Like they literally like have a page print of like what 3,000, 8,000? What is it, CP?
Depends on the cartridge, but the smaller ones can be anywhere from like 1,000 to 1,500 or something. I don't know.
It just
depends on the model, and there's extra toner like just like they make XL ink, they make like an XL toner, but.
Okay, Yang is trying to outprinter me, man. He's walking somewhere to get his printer. Now we're having this like mine's bigger than yours like thing going on.
Most Brothers are going to be your monochrome. You're going to look for Brother. You're going to look for HP, Samsung, Canon. Those are the main ones that I would mess with. Xerox kind of makes some older ones. There are some older HPs too, but just like anything, you're going to look up the model number, look at the reviews and the sales rank and stuff.
Okay, Yang, what do you got?
He's got the Samsung wireless with the built-in NFC,
small,
which
right?
is really
small,
cool.
It just needs one black, toner. It's not heavy. I can lift it with one hand. But the ones that's color, I mean, those things are massive. They're super heavy.
Yeah, that's as small as a monochrome printer will get. It won't get much small. It won't get any smaller than that.
Yeah.
And they do get bigger, wider, and taller, depending if it's a duplex. If it's a duplex one, they're worth a little bit more money because it can print on both sides.
And I purposely bought that one because I use it when I travel. So.
Yeah, you can print from mobile on that one too, which is really nice.
Cool. We got Chad in the house, by the way. Golden Finger Picker has stopped by and said hello. What is up, Chad? It's good to see you.
What up?
Um,
What up?
Yep. Julie Johnson from the Green Room says I picked up an HP 9697 pack today. Target for 35. It's normally 85. They have a lot of ink on sale right now. Okay. He heard electronics and he came running, is what Chad said. All right. Thank you for coming by, Chad. That is really cool. We need to have Chad on the show soon. So we're going to do an antique show one day. And I like Chad. I know Chad likes these like one-off kind of items, which are cool, like super rare, hard to find things, and he's a wealth of knowledge. So Chad, you're gonna get hit up from the Bonafide Hustler behind the scenes, and we're gonna get on an antique show with Chad soon. Hopefully he'll say yes. You better, boy. Anyway, we're going to talk about now. Let's talk about the ones to avoid, because I think that's going to be a good one too. Because there's some that I find in a box and I'm like, oh my god, I get all excited. And one started with like a letter F, and it was like, oh, this thing sucks. But you know what I'm talking about? Like a Phantom. Was it called a Phantom or something like that?
It starts with a letter F.
Yeah, it's like this really crappy one that comes in this amazing looking box. It looks cool. It's jet black. But
Who makes it?
I swear it's called like Phantom or something weird like that.
I've never heard of that brand of electronics.
Okay, look, someone in the feed is going to help me out, I swear. But there's this one weird one called... Okay, it's like a $50 one at best. Like, brand new, it's $50, and I'm like, okay. And I see it here and there all over the place, but it's only $50 like on FBA. So it's a total, like, no way, I'm not going to mess with it, because you usually find it used everywhere. It's called like a Phantom. It's like it's terrible. Here, that's it. Well, look it up real quick.
I've never even heard of that brand.
Okay.
For the most part, things you're going to want to stay away from are inkjets that have the toner, that have the ink cartridges been removed from it. If that should be a red flag right away, because once the cartridges are removed, the print heads have an extra space of air to get in to dry them out and just make the whole printer absolutely useless. So that is one thing that you're going to want to stay away from is inkjet printers that have the ink cartridges removed.
It's called Phantom, is what Brad Kennett said. Phantom.
The Phantom, it sounds like an awful printer right off the bat.
Yeah, I never even heard of it.
Brad Kennett said horrible. Anyway. Okay, so it's a paperweight basically. Okay, so can you think of any other brands that you'd be like, CP, like don't mess with these brands, but I mean, what do you think?
I mean, the thing is, the brands have different tiers. They make garbage printers, they make excellent printers, they make a lot of them overlap with making inkjets and photo printers, and also making the monochrome laser printers. So it's really hard to go just off of brands. You have to go off of indicators.
Okay, easy money. Figure out the brand I was talking about. It's called Pantum, P-A-N-T-U-M. Just so you know, Pantum.
The Phantom printer.
That's with the Pantums, dude. Okay, so. See, Yang, what do you need to test out a printer? Let's assume it's not Wi-Fi, okay? So what do you need to test out a printer, Yang?
A power cord.
Okay, which will, yes or no, come with the printer CP? Is it attached?
A lot of times will not. It's just a normal 3-prong power cord most of the time. Some of the HP printers have like a little 3-prong clippy printer AC adapter thing that is not just a cord, but a lot of the times for the monochrome ones are pulling so much current they don't even have an adapter to change the current. It's just like straight into the printer.
Okay, so Yang said power cord. Yang, if it's not Wi-Fi, is there another cord involved that gets it to your printer? Yes, right? The USB one, the USB cord, the main. I mean, that's the only way that you can talk to the printer.
Well, some printers, you can actually even test them without even hooking up to a computer. Like I believe HP, I forget which button it is, but you can do a test print just from the printer alone.
Okay. It depends on the model. It's a lot of times the feed button or the error button. You'll just hold it down for 3 seconds and it'll beep and it'll print settings on a lot of them. But it depends on the model. You could look it up in the store real quick and just say, like Google Brother HLB 205 or something, and how to do a settings test or something, and then it might give you the button codes.
So someone finds a printer, let's say at a thrift store or a garage sale. What's the rate of you need to hook it up, or rate like you don't need to hook it? Is it like 50-50, or none of these you have to hook up, or like how CP? You're like the resident printer expert here. Like,
if it's a monochrome printer, like most of the time it will work. Maybe it'll be out of toner, or a part might be towards the end of its life.
Do you have to hook it up to your laptop, for example, to see if it works? Yes or no?
Not all the time. Not if it has that print code, or if it has those test buttons. You don't always have to. But I would just do it. Yeah, you plug it in, and it's going to install the driver automatically these days, anyways. So
I think most people do. I think most people will hook
there's
it
no
up.
reason. There's no reason not to fully test an item. But if you're in the store and you want to say, oh, do I want to buy it or not? I would do the quickest print test that I could do.
Okay, so you can Google
Unless it was ridiculously cheap, then you just buy it.
So it's different for different brands, but there's sometimes, or many times, there's a way to press one button and it can get a test page going or something like that.
Yeah, if there's a error clear button or a go button, something like that, where you just hold it down or you press it 3 times or you hold it for 8 seconds or hold it for 10 seconds, a lot of times it'll just print. Or hold it for 3 seconds and then press it twice, something like that. It'll be like a little code.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for that. That's pretty awesome.
I know yours does it. You could hold down your button right now and it would just spit out a piece of paper.
That's crazy.
With like the page count on it, which is something you do want to include, especially for the workhorse monochrome printers. You want to figure out the page count, and that can be known on the settings page.
Okay, cool. So the workhorse ones, the ones that are like typically 2 times the size of the normal size, right? They're the bigger ones with different trays and everything, right?
Yeah, ones you're gonna find in an office. You're gonna find them at the pharmacy. We have a ton of them at the pharmacy.
Right. Well, that's because the
office
toner
is
is
gonna
also
have them.
big as hell. The toner cartridge is like 3 times as large, right?
Yeah, the toner's bigger. The trays are bigger. It can add multiple trays to it. There's more functions. Like I said, printing double. You need a certain amount of space to flip a piece of paper over with rollers. So if you want a double-sided printer, it's going to need to be bigger.
Awesome. Well, that's good to know that, man. See, this is telling you, man, resident printer expert right here, Young. Isn't that true? This guy's explaining the rollers to us and everything. Man, if your head's not exploding out there, I don't know what is going on.
Here's a cool tip too. Also, that if you guys are buying toners for yourself, don't ever pay retail. You can buy third-party toners on eBay for much cheaper. And they work
you buy third-party. Yeah, third-party's a lot cheaper. There's a lot of newer monochrome printers that have a chip in it that doesn't even use a toner sensor. It's actually just like a pre-programmed chip that you could just pop out the chip and get a new chip for like $3, and then that will use the rest of your toner, even though you're actually not out of toner, but it's tricking the printer into thinking that it is.
This is awful. That's so bad. Anyway, no, I spent on my toner. I got 2 for $13 off eBay, and I still have another extra one in here. So
yeah, you can refill them yourself, even if it's an expensive cartridge. Depending on certain models, the refill cartridges are ridiculously expensive or affordable.
Okay, cool. Hey, by the way, while we have the 100+ people in here, I do want us to take a second to say thank you for seeing our Hangout. We got about 13 more minutes left, but I want to ask you guys, do us a big favor, hit the like button down below if you're learning even a little tidbit on something. The funny thing is, on this show, we have like 8 items. CP was laughing about this before we even started the show, but we have 7 items to go through, and there's no way we're going to get even past number 3. So we want to make sure it's a quality show, and if you're finding some sort of value, even a little inkling, I want you to hit that like button. Now, if you're finding no value, you can hit the dislike button. We don't care. Well, we do care, but we don't care because that's your opinion, and you can do whatever you want. But, for the most part, we're trying to give you good value right here in the hour that you're spending with us. Before I go back to number 3, what it is, you got to get this. All right, I got it laminated. I'm such a dork, but you got to get 100 amazing items to resell. It is on the bottom of this video right now. Look down below in the feed. I want you to take this guide that's free, okay, and put it on your phone and study it all the freaking time. And tell me if you don't make a pretty good amount of money just from reading this guide this year, okay?
I want to say laser printers were in there. I don't know how I could contribute. I don't know how I could contribute to that guide without putting laser printers in there.
No, they're in there. There's a lot.
Okay.
So that's like there's 99 other items that they can learn about right in here without watching any Hangouts or anything, right on your phone. And this is a laminated sheet. This is not the book. Anyway, I had to do it. In case someone actually thought that was the actual guide. No, it's not. It's a digital guide, so it goes right on your phone. Okay, cool. So let's talk about now number 3. That's our minute and a half. Like, hey, help us out, and here's our guide. So there we go. Minute and a half of semi-commercial. Thanks a lot for listening to it.
That was like 20 seconds.
Okay, it's 20 seconds. We're getting technical. Okay, so we talked about how to test that. Let's wrap up printers real quick. Did the brands?
Oh, there's so much more about printers. We'll have to wrap it up though.
Okay. Oh, there was one I wanted to. Okay, let's talk about the golden boy of printers before we wrap it up. Let's take 1.5 minutes and talk about the ultimate printers to buy. CP, if someone has, okay, what's the easiest way to spot the most awesome printer? Like, what do you think? Like, within reason, right? Let's say someone's going out on a garage sale, they see a printer on the ground. What should be like a kind of like giveaway? Like, oh my God, that's a really, really awesome printer. Like, what's something that you can say?
If it
Like,
looks larger than your normal printer, it's going to be a pretty dead giveaway because it's more on the artistic and the creative like side of things, where people are buying these things to print things to sell, to print things to decorate. Like, these aren't just printing out PowerPoints for your 8th grade project or something. You're actually printing things that are going to be high quality to sell.
right. And what he's talking about is like larger format printing. It could be all kinds of stuff. It could be maps. It can be high-res photos for your wall of photography stuff. It could be anything. It could be blueprints, right? We're talking large. So if there are, about half the size of a normal desk, I would say start being really interested. But if they get to the size of your entire desk, then probably the person at the garage sale or yard sale is they probably know what they have, right? It's a, what do you call it, like a draftsman printer. It's something. It's called the certain thing. It's a it prints blueprints basically, right? Those
They
kind
have
of things
poster
are
printers,
crazy.
yeah, blueprint printers,
Yeah, you should get really excited. So
banner printers. But yeah, those. I mean, the bigger it gets, the harder it gets to test, the more problems you can have with it. But if you can sell it as is, you might be all right.
yep. And if you're in the green room, you know exactly my last printer flip, my last good one before the other one I just showed
The
you guys.
10-minute printer flip.
Yeah, there was one that was no, it was less than 10 minutes actually. But I put a printer on eBay and it was anyway, it was a very, very intense printer flip. Everyone knows what it is. And then I had a smaller printer flip after that I bought off Craigslist. But the one on eBay, the really big one, was a garage sale find. So anyway, if you're in the green room, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's talk now about where do we want to go? Let's poll the room real quick here. Do you guys want to talk about the third thing? We have 8 minutes left. We can talk about VCR DVD players or both, which is like a VCR and DVD player together. Okay, we can talk about that. We can talk about boom boxes, or we can talk about keyboards and computer apparatuses. Maybe I don't know if it's apparati, but I just said apparatuses. So those are the three things. You guys decide, right? You decide where the show goes from this point forward. Does it go to VCR DVDs?
5-minute hyper mode. Yeah.
Does it go to boom boxes, or does it go in the direction of keyboards and apparatuses? Let us know what you want to talk about. Hey, Chris, did I keep the Tantum bike? Tantum bike? Oh, oh yeah.
Tandem.
I do have it. It's still here. Yeah, yeah, it's here.
So it looks like we're getting a lot of VCR DVD.
Okay, so here's you know why we're getting a lot of VCR DVD? Take a guess.
Why?
Because that was the graphic?
No.
I don't.
Here's my educated guess on why people want to know about this is because you see a lot of them everywhere you go. Like, this is something that you see everywhere. Okay, so VCR DVDs. Let's talk about. Let's go with VCR first because VCR, it's like outdated technology. It's like a DAT. It's like a what do you call it? Not a mini disc. Yeah, it is a mini disc actually. It's like that. It's right after Betamax, right? It was the VHS. It was the thing that basically won over Betamax, correct?
I think so.
It's kind of like when Blu-ray went up against HD disc and Blu-ray won that, right? But like, so a VCR is a video cassette recorder. Am I right about that?
Video cassette recorder. Yep.
Okay. So likely when you were young, you probably watched your very first, R-rated movie on it. Maybe it was RoboCop. Maybe it was Crocodile Dundee. I don't know, right? I know Crocodile Dundee was the very first movie I ever rented from Blockbuster Video, by the way. So just shout out to Blockbuster Video on Braeswood in Houston, Texas. And we paid $3.25 for it just to rent it for a night. But yeah, we had a VCR. My dad bought a pretty good one, right? And it was from Sam's Club or Sam's Warehouse is what it was called back in the day. So this VCR I think was around $200 or $300. It was a Magnavox, all right. And what made it so special is that it had 4-head hi-fi. Now, let's talk about that real quick because when you deal with VCRs, they're going to brag about what they have on the front, much like a receiver brags about what it has. A VCR is going to do the same exact thing. It'll tell you, is it a SVHS, What the hell does that even mean? I'll tell you right now. What is it a four-head hi-fi? Does it have this? Does it have that? What does all this mean? So decoding what it's trying to tell you will tell you if this automatically is something that you start looking at a little bit more rather than not. CP, what does four-head mean on a VCR? What do you know about that?
I have no idea.
All right, Young.
I have no idea, dude. I'm not. Look, from my experience, the only reason why VCRs go for big money is because they no longer make them anymore. Seriously, I've been doing this home project where I'm trying to convert all my VHS tapes to digital. And I think last time when I was living in my old place, you recognized that VCR, remember? And you were asking, you making fun of it because I'm trying to convert everything to digital because they don't make them anymore. They don't make VCRs anymore. That's why they're so expensive.
Okay, so that's right. They don't make them anymore, and people still kind of like are attached to their VCR tapes. Some things that are on VCR tapes they're not made into DVDs, right? So they're just like one of a kind of things.
In your home movies, your wedding, stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so my understanding of two-head versus four-head is that there's four heads actually reading the tape as it goes by because it goes from spool to spool. There's four different heads reading the tape as it goes by, which means you can get a much more precise, like, if I understand this correctly, because I think this thing traveled out at like 300 lines of visual resolution. When you slow the thing down, it gives you a better ability to slow something down when you have four-head hi-fi because you're seeing. If I'm not the picture quality, yes, around 330 lines of resolution, but also when you like fast forward or slow down, it assists in that as well. So you can get a much better frame rate like slow down with a four-head versus a two-head. Now I think a lot of the money is in the four-head. So if you're gonna mess with VCRs, you're just gonna take a stab at it. I would say start looking for four-head as the key word to look for. There are two other keywords you want to look for as well, and then you'll realize when you find all three keywords or two of the three, you're usually looking at only like two or maybe about 3 or 4 real brands out there that really made a pretty decent amount of these. So now, the other keyword you want to look for is SVHS. That's a little bit harder to find, but what does SVHS mean, CP?
Dude, this is like before my time.
I'll go to Yang with this. Let's see if Yang knows.
I have no idea.
Okay.
VHS?
Yes.
Gosh, you're asking the wrong person.
I grew up watching them, but I had no idea like what was. I probably had the crappiest VHS player, VCR, in my house growing up. So I have no idea.
Okay, so SVHS, what that means is basically the S means it's super VHS. So a VHS normal with four-head hi-fi or just four heads is going to transmit the visual lines of resolution out at like 330 lines, right? But a super VHS, okay, is going to have an S-video input in the back, okay, which is different because if you're looking at actual resolution coming out of a video player, right, the yellow cable, right, the yellow RCA is about 330 lines, right? If you jump into SVHS, right, which is the S-video connection, which, to explain it, it kind of looks like the end of an old mouse cable, okay? It's a really weird, like, 5-prong little thing with a U, like, it's hard to explain. But if you get an S-video on the back, it'll say S-video, by the way. The back of it, if you flip the VCR around, it says SVHS. If you flip it around, you should see a thing that says S-video. Now, S-video, that transmits out at 420 lines of resolution. So back in the day, resolution was kind of a big deal, right? Not as like it is now. Now it's like 4K and 1080p, 1080i.
420p.
Oh, it's insane, right? All right, 420. But 420 lines of resolution wasn't bad for a VHS tape. That's pretty good actually, and that's as good as it really got with VCRs. So take a look when you see SVHS. That means it's a super picture of an already, ancient machine. Okay, so yes, it's better visual quality, and it needs an S-video cable, which typically you don't have to include that if you sell it. People can find these things all over the place. You can find them at like Walgreens. Now, the hi-fi. Anyone know what hi-fi is?
Okay.
Yeah, hi-fi means high fidelity, which means the sound's going to be better. Okay, so hi-fi means better sound quality. So if you want to find the best VCR out there, four-head, SVHS, hi-fi. Okay, and there are only a couple makers that really make that really well. One's JVC. Sony was another maker of that. There are not very many of them. Okay, I don't even know if Panasonic made one, honestly, but those are the two big ones you're going to see out there a lot. Okay, so JVC is probably the number one you're going to see. It has a rotating wheel. Same with the Sony one, actually. But this SVHS forehead hi-fi, start looking at those. If you can't find the SVHS part, just look for forehead hi-fi. And remember, tomorrow when you're at the thrift store, just look at the front of those the VCR players, and you'll start seeing what I'm talking about. It's pretty easy to see. Okay, high fidelity. That's right, hi-fi, high fidelity. All right, so Andrew, I'll just say Andrew Case has a ton of intellectual firepower on the panel. You know, I used to work for Circuit City in the AV department, so I know a lot about.
No
this.
wonder why you got an unfair advantage, man.
No. But I knew about this before. I mean, my father taught me about a lot of this stuff when I was younger. He taught to me why we bought a forehead hi-fi, like why we did this, why we did that. So, yeah. Anyways,
let's start talking about pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, next week we're doing a show on Apple computers.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know what? One thing that I haven't found, and people are talking about right now in the feed, are Betamaxes. I've never found a Betamax out there in the wild. CP, have you ever found a Betamax and flipped it?
Betamax, but I would not even know what a Betamax looks like if it.
Okay, and then a Betamax is like a smaller VHS tape, and
I think I've seen the tapes before, but I don't think I've ever seen the player before. And then again, I'm not looking for it since I've never found one. And my eyes aren't trained to look for it either.
Yeah, it looks like a VCR, and it's typically wider. Sometimes, a lot of the times, the front of the Betamaxes are this weird cream color looking thing. But for the most part, a Betamax was the more industrial version of a VCR, but the VCR became the more consumer grade option that people went with and stayed with. And so Betamaxes were found with like news stations and all those things that actually did recordings and had to store things when hard drives really weren't like a big deal back in the day. A hard drive was a disc, like was a tape, right? Remember that back in the day, like to store things, it was like on tapes. So anyway, it looks like a VCR tape. What's up?
You mean like a cassette tape, right?
No, it's bigger than. It's like right under. Like if you take a VCR, a VCR cassette, and you just shrink it a little bit. That's what
it has. One spool, right?
No. I'm talking about when you said a hard drive.
What do you say? Oh no, I mean back in the day they would store things on like a ton of tapes. Right now they have hard drives, right? They have cloud. Like they don't need a ton of tapes or a ton of discs or anything. But that's what it was back in the day. I think after that, what did it go to? iOmegas and stuff like that. CP. What was the main storage device after like that kind of storage? Was it iOmega? Like remember that?
Probably 3.5-inch floppies.
Okay, flip 3.5. And I know at some point when iOmega.
And then zip drives, and then hard. I mean, 3.5-inch floppies is when hard drives started coming around anyway. So hard drives, 3.5-inch floppies, and zip drives.
Yeah. Hey, Bonafide, remember DIVX? I think I remember that. I think the other thing that was like in the vicinity of VCR DVD is Laserdisc as well. So Laserdisc is one of those things that has a huge following on eBay for, not so much for the discs, but yes for the disc, but not so much for the disc. How do I say that? Certain discs, right? For the most part, you're going to find a lot of disc lots that sell well on eBay, but individual ones, yeah, maybe. It's the Laserdisc player itself is what's worth the money. If you can find that plus the remote control. Many times it'll be like a Pioneer, quite honestly, because Pioneer basically owned that market back in the day. That's a good thing to put out there. It's very easy to test. I want to say Laserdisc had an S-video in the back, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe even had component video cables. Either way, pretty easy thing to test out. Hook it up to a TV, put a big-ass disc in there, watch whatever you want to watch. Let's talk about the last thing, which is the DVD players. CP. Now, you're younger than I am, so DVD players was definitely within your adult years, right? Like knowing about them and everything.
I still don't know about them because I don't watch anything on DVD. I watch everything on Netflix.
Okay. Young. Did you ever watch things on DVD back in the day?
I did. I'm not an expert, but I did, yes.
Do you know things like, what's your knowledge of DVD players? I mean, you hustle them. I know you hustle them in the box and all that kind of stuff. When they're standalone, you kind of don't. But like, when's the last time you sold a DVD player on FBA?
When?
Yeah. What do you think?
Oh, gosh, a year and a half ago, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Last time I flipped a DVD player was eBay Pioneer Elite. that was.
Is there money in just a standing DVD player just for the function of playing a DVD? Or has it something to do with an output, or does it have something to do with something that's internal?
The DVD players typically will have component video outputs that'll give out at 500 lines of resolution. Some current day ones, or towards the end of their existence, they have HDMI.
That's what I would look for. I'd look for HD. I have flipped DVD players before. Like a 5 spinning one is kind of interesting. So it was
Right.
something weird like that. Had HDMI out. If it has a Ethernet port in, so it's a smart DVD player or whatever, where you could either hack it or whatever. Like it has a hard drive in it of some sort. Yeah, or it can copy DVDs at a certain function of it.
Yep.
Then yeah. But if it's just like a DVD player, that's something that a PlayStation 2 can do, then I don't really mess with it.
Yeah, I think a PS2 did have did it have optical PS2? I'm not 100% sure. I
It
think
had optical sound, but it didn't have.
yeah, it didn't have anything. It didn't have HDMI out. It did have
No, it didn't have HDMI out.
It did have a
It's
thing where you can branch out to component, which was the highest way you could view that thing. So Easy Money says component video out, which is RGB, red, green, blue, optical, or HDMI, or even this thing called fiber coax, fiber, something like that. Digital coax. That's what it's called, digital coax, which is if you didn't have an optical port in your receiver, you had a digital coax, then it could do it that way too. So DVD recorders sell very good. That's what I wanted to hit this show off with. The very last thing, DVD recorders that are typically, they make straight up DVD ones, they make VCR DVD ones. You know what I'm talking about? The ones where they almost are hard drives in a sense. Some are even hard drives. They have like a 100 gig drive on them or whatever they are. Sometimes they're made by Panasonic, Toshiba, but for the most part, they're ones with VCR, DVDs, and sometimes they even have a hard disk built into it. You know what I'm talking about, CP?
Yeah, they have a recording function, or they have a hard drive function to store the data without burning it to a DVD.
That's right. So you can take your VCR, burn it onto a DVD-R if you want to, or you can put it onto the hard disk if you want to. There's so many things you can play. They're very, very hard to test. I want to tell you guys out there right now, if you spot it and it's in a box and it's new, buy it all day, right? But if you're gonna have to test it, well, you better be ready for some extensive testing, because you have to have a lot of things ready to get that thing going. You have to get into menus, which is super hard if you're not into menus and joysticks and enter functions and all this stuff, or even programming. Dude, the last one that I sold.
You gotta get some blank DVDs.
Yeah, I mean, it's right. You have to get DVD-Rs. I had to order some from Amazon Prime like half a year ago because I had to test this one out, which actually came back to me because the start-stop function on it, like a programming sense, didn't work on it. Everything else checked out, right? But the only thing I didn't check was the start-stop. Like if you had a program that you wanted it to record, I never tested that one part. I tested everything else out, and it was perfect, but the start-stop...
I bet it was user error. I bet he just didn't know how to do it. I bet.
Yeah, it could have been, but anyway. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's typically the case in a lot of these situations.
still in my store, so oh well. But anyway, it took forever. It took me forever, and the problem is, every time I test these things out, I always put Point Break, the DVD, on, and that happens to be like one of my favorite top 10 movies of all time. So like, Point Break. Yeah, I'll put Point Break on, and literally like watch half of the movie without even like testing the rest of it out. I'll just watch half the movie. So anyways, it's a little bona fide fact for you. So that's pretty much the show. We can't go over it. We already went 8 minutes over. We've covered 3 things, out of 7.
Like
so,
2.5.
Yeah, pretty much. But the gist of the show and the goal of the show was to highlight that there is money in these bigger, badder electronics. B, that instead of being scared about them, if you're scared, now you kind of know a little bit more about them, so that way when you actually research them, which is your due diligence, you should be doing that, then now you can kind of understand, what is it going to take to test this receiver, or what does SVHS forehead hi-fi even mean on this VCR? At least now you know a little bit about what's going on. RY Bob says we need a part 2. So if we hear that, we need a part 2 from a lot of people, maybe we'll do a part 2. Not next week, though. We got to vary it up a little bit, but we'll do a part 2 for you guys. One of the parts of the part 2 is keyboards and apparatuses, which I really want Young and Eric to really echo in on, because I know they know a lot about this.
Those aren't big, though.
No, they're not big, but they're at the same time they're bigger than a Walkman and all that kind of stuff. And they're out there. Like if you go to a garage sale, you can see there's Roku stuff, Fire Sticks, Apple TV, Generation 1 or 2. We got to know what to hustle. So I think it's important that smart TV boxes get kind of put into there. Keyboards and apparatuses, keyboards, mice, THX speakers with subwoofers, all that kind of stuff. I think it's something to talk about. Tape decks, CD players, changers, carousels. That's a good one to talk about. Boomboxes, certainly. And how about the one that I sold today? Camcorders, right? Camcorders is a wonderful electronic to hustle. CP has an extensive knowledge on this part. I just sold one today. Too bad we didn't get around
I
to
didn't
it.
see camcorders on the outline.
It wasn't because I just remembered
okay.
I remember to put camcorders on after.
So
I
now we have
sold
now we have 8 items that we have to go through.
I know. We have 8 items to go
2
through.
more hangouts.
If you came to this broadcast based upon my Periscope that was immediately before it, the item that I sold today for $187 that was a $25 garage sale find was a CCD TRV68 Hi8 camcorder made by Sony, which Hi8 is basically an S video out. And it's got 420 lines of resolution, blah, 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 night shot, which arguably could be the reason why the person bought it in the first place. Could be perverted.
You can see through ghosts' clothing.
Could be a super perverted person that wants night shot and a really good working camera, so I don't know. So, all right. So that's pretty much, shortwave radios. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in here that we forgot.
Yeah, I mean, electronics, I mean, it's a long list. I mean, we can just go on for hours about
Yeah.
I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. There's phones,
Yeah.
It's just too much.
Oh, yes, and this is John Gums saying, how about a camera flip show? So on a camera show that we aim to have soon, we are going to have some people on the panel that you've never seen before, okay? Because we have some pretty decent experts in the room on cameras, CP being one of them, Rakin's close behind. He knows a lot about cameras. We have Mr. Robert Burns, and there are a couple others in the store. So I'm going to have to hit them all up and get a really expert panel here to talk about cameras. We're talking about T3, T4, T5s, 5Ds, like the lenses that go with them, all that kind of stuff, what to look for, how not to be mystified when you get to a garage sale or a pawn shop, right? Pawn shop's one of the leading places to find great camera stuff, and a lot of people are scared, right? So thanks for watching the show. Do us one last favor, okay? Go down below and hit that like button if you like the show. Even if you see it after the fact, hit the like button if you learned even a little bit. It really helps us out. And then with that, CP, do you want to close it up, or Yang, you want to close it up?
CP.
Thanks, everybody. What do we got here? Thanks for watching this 3 out of like 9 topics that we were supposed to go through. Everybody that's out there watching, all the comments that came through, it sounded like they had a lot of expert receiver hustlers in there. Like, I'm slacking in the receiver department, and you guys just killed it. I'm totally impressed, and I'm sure everyone that watches this will be also. We appreciate every pair of eyes watching this, and we will catch you guys later.
All right. See you later, guys. Take it easy.